All right, folks, hello and welcome back to Session 2 of Hearts of Wulin, Academy of the Blade, a Kickstarter stretch setting for the original Hearts of Wulin game that takes the melodrama of wuxia, passionate conflict and romance and places it all into a nice little anime high school bun. Two great tastes that taste great together. What I'd like to do is start off with a quick round of character introductions. And just introduce yourself as a player and also your character, what you're playing, and what's going on with them. And then we'll go ahead and kick off the game into some scenes. So I was thinking of just going in character keeper order and starting off with Jesse playing Kit Fox.
Yes, my name is Jesse. My pronouns are he, him. I am playing Kit Fox, whose pronouns are they and them, and they are in the game breaker role of the dropout. Kit was the golden child, Papa's favorite. Everyone loved them. Academic all-star, amazing at the duels, just like the best at everything. And they burned out. Not quite sure what the inciting incident was. It might not matter, because at the end of the day, the thing that got them was the pressure. And so they just want to take the whole fucking school out, especially the people in authority who destroyed them for so many years, leaned on them. And so they're a part of a faction called the why am I blanking on the faction name? Devils, something Devils. Dust Devils. The Dust Devils, who are a mix of townie and kind of like burnout students, I'd say. Kind of on the wrong side of the law. They helped Kid out when they dropped out for a few months. Yeah, that's sort of their deal. They fight with a glaive. It's pretty badass. I think where we last left them, they were smoking in an alley, eavesdropping on was it Tomi and an NPC who
Suto,
I'm
I think.
kind of seeing, who I'm kind of seeing casually also, Suto.
Yes. All right. Fantastic. Let's go over to Jamie, who is playing Jin.
Right, and so I'm playing Jin Watanabe, who uses they, he pronouns. I'm Jamie, and I use they, them pronouns. So I'm playing I'm trying to remember the name of the actual playbook, the class clown playbook, but with the flirt role. And Jin has black purple locks, golden eyes, a super intricate and elaborate version of the dress school uniform, really over the top, purple buckles. But sometimes you can see the glimpse of devil wings in the tail, maybe sometimes. So Jin comes from the same like background as Kit, like also like a painfully wealthy family. But in Jin's case, it's because their family may have made a deal with several devils over the generations. And Jin is one of many children and has absolutely nothing to prove, unlike poor Kit. So instead, Jin has turned to hedonism. They don't know why they're fighting the duels, only that they're compelled to do so. And they worry that they may have lost something precious, but the school has taken that memory. So their main element is of metal, because despite their flirtatious exterior, they're very controlling, calculating, and they tend to reflect on things. They have a weapon that's really over the top, a whip of black roses, because why not? And let's see, aside from that, should we talk about which entanglement we're highlighting now, or should we save that for later?
Actually, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. One thing that you do at the start of every session in Hearts of Wulin is you select one of your entanglements. And of course, you can modify entanglements as well if you choose to. If an entanglement just isn't really being brought up in gameplay, or if something about your relationship with the characters has changed, you can modify any of your entanglements. And you also select one entanglement to highlight. And you can represent that in the character keeper however you wish. But the basic idea is that at the end of gameplay, each session, you select the entanglement that you highlighted, and if you interacted with it significantly in some way, you caused you some problems or you solved some problems, maybe a little bit of both, you get 2 XP. And the other one that is not highlighted, same thing, except you get 1 XP. So if you interact with both entanglements, you get 3 XP at the end of the session, in addition to interconflict, XP, XP for other moves, that kind of thing. So thank you for reminding me of that, Jamie. That's something that we'll need to definitely do. If you would like to go ahead and talk about entanglements right now, as we're putting the spotlight on you, you're welcome to.
Yeah, sure. I only bring it up because when I run this game, I always forget. So it's much easier when I'm a player.
Yeah, makes 2 of us.
But yeah, so my entanglements are, I entered into a false relationship with Shinji. So Shinji is the vice president of the student council, to make Tommy jealous, who's one of our PCs, but my feelings have swiftly become real. My second entanglement is, I suspect that Kit, one of the few people I can't get to like me, and Haru, one of the few people I can't bring myself to like, might be plotting against me together. And Haru used to be part of the student council, but has mysteriously also been throwing the duels and losing on purpose. So I'm highlighting the entanglement with Shinji and Tomi because I would really love a chance to interact with. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Tomi or Tommy? Sorry, Jen, I forgot to check.
Yeah, Tomi.
Got it. Just checking. But yeah, I'd love to interact with Tomi this session, and any excuse to interact with the cute but slightly dangerous Shinji is also fun. But yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Let's go over then to Sam, and you're playing Zashi.
Yeah, hello. My name is Sam Zimmerman. I use he and him pronouns, and today I would be playing as Zashi, who also uses he and him pronouns. Zashi is the transfer student. He is the ingenue, which is I have no idea what I'm doing. I got dumped into this crazy school where they fight each other all the time, and I've never held a weapon before, and I don't understand what is going on. Zashi is currently kind of being showed around the school by Suto, who Zashi kind of has a crush on. Zashi kind of has a crush on everybody right now, but he is also getting recruited very heavily by basically all of the clubs, because all of the clubs are trying to like build up their base to win this big festival thing that's going on. Zashi is the element of his primary element is fire, because he is very excitable, very passionate about everything, gets himself into trouble all the time, especially because he has no idea what he's doing. My 2 entanglements, I am crushing on both Kit and Suto, but now they are dating each other, which is fun and fantastic. And Hifumi has tricked me into offending our reigning dueling champion, Dire Axolotl, who now considers me a sworn enemy. And that is the one that I have highlighted for today. I would like to get some duels on the board and see if I can't get into that scene somehow.
Excellent. I will make a note of that as well. And last but not least, let's go over to John, who is playing Tomi.
Hello, I am John. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Tomi Yozen, the club president of the crew rowing team here at our fine school. Tomi lives, eats, and breathes rowing, and not much else except for fighting to make sure he can do more rowing. He is actually not doing great in school, and that's not good for him because he is here on an academic scholarship. So if he has to go to study hall as a result, which his best friend, Shinji, helps tutor and run. And I think the big thing in his life right now is that with the culture fair being announced and approaching, he is anticipating a duel with the Aero Club to try and move the rowing club up a notch and secure some better funding so that we can really impress him at the at the culture event. We're going to put on a synchronized boat show, like no one's ever seen. We're going to be the best, like no one ever was. That's the goal.
Excellent. So the way that I would like to kind of start this session off actually is a scene with Jen. I would like to follow up on the mysterious phone call that Jin received at the conclusion of the last session. Someone purporting to be an agent of the Bone and Blade calls you up and says that they want to meet with you in the usual place. Bring a weapon, you may need it. Midnight. So, Jin, what is the usual place that you might meet with a shady agent of a secret society?
Yeah, I think it has to be yes, ma'am. Okay. Sorry. It has to be an abandoned chapel. I think like it's this really beautiful, ostentatious, but none of the students hardly go there. And but it has really like elaborate over the top like stained glass windows and these like dueling statue angels on the outside. Like it's really over the top.
Got it. And despite the fact that it is nighttime, there is this technicolor glow that embodies the entire interior of the chapel, the light filtering through the stained glass windows. And I imagine that as you enter, you know, you hear the chiming of midnight in the background. You see a figure standing up near the altar, their head turned facing away from you. You see a lithe, androgynous, kind of femboy-ish figure dressed in almost a full form-fitting ballet-style leotard. They have this long, flowing hair that is about waist length, and they cradle in their left hand, sort of limp-wristedly, an hourglass that is slowly ticking down from the top of the reservoir. They turn their head, and you can see that their face is obscured by a mask. On one half, you have the traditional Greek comedy mask, smiling face. On the other half, the traditional Greek tragedy mask, the crying face. Welcome, Jen, they say. It is the voice from the other end of the phone.
And Jin is uncharacteristically serious. Like it's not the same Jin that's outside flirting with people left and right. And so I step forward and I say, so I've come as you asked at the appointed time and place. What do you have need of me for?
We have need of your charisma, of the influence that you can exert over your classmates. You see, they say, turning and kind of sitting. I imagine what they would actually do is they would kind of heft themselves up sexily onto the altar, and they kind of have their legs crossed, and you can see that they have the very long kind of goth anime legs going on. It's very slender. And they'll say to you, our eyes have actually fallen upon Kit. Tell me, what is your relationship with Kit like, Jen? And they say this as they kind of continue to gently drum their fingers along the hourglass.
I think at this point, Jin steps forward and does that like really bold anime boy thing of like putting a hand in between the two of them and leaning in close. And I say, Kit and I have a relationship. I would like to think that it could be more. Yes. We both have a lot in common. Mostly money, but it could be more.
You can't tell exactly what the facial expression of this shadowy figure is doing. And yet something tells you that this figure before you is smiling as you say those words. They reply, We like to think that you could be more as well. But there is an obstacle in the way. One Suto, whom this Kit is dating somewhat casually, I would say. For the sake of the bone and blade, Jen, I would ask that you break the bond between these two.
Oh, is that all? That's incredibly easy. I just have to smile in a certain direction and I'm sure it can be taken care of. But at the same time, I'm trying to act very casual, but I think I want to try figuring them out a little more. So I'm trying to see if I can study them.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think I'm doing this. I'm trying to be casual about it, not too obvious. So I think I'm going to use water. I'm being flexible. I'm trying to just see what I can intuitively pick up. So that's a +1. Okay, rolling. Oh, it's 5.
A 5.
Yeah. Whoa. What
Now,
a low roll.
to clarify, with a miss on the study move, I don't want to say that that is a time in which the GM really pulls out the really hard moves. I think that's typically reserved for inner conflict. But my understanding is that at this point, the GM basically is allowed to continue making this person very mysterious and so on and so forth. If I'm understanding this correctly.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I can be a mean GM. I would probably, I mean, this is just, slight GM talk. I might still have them ask a question, but I'll give them an answer that they don't like, right? Like, or reveal something really dramatic or something. Or it could be the other way where the NPC learns something about me that I don't want them to learn, right?
I see. Would that be something that you'd be interested in doing, is proposing a question, but you always get a terrible answer?
I love that. That's one of my favorites.
All right. What kinds of questions would you like horrible answers to?
I think, because what I was really trying to get is their like motivation, right? Like, I know what they're asking of me and I can kind of guess at why, but I think it's just, I want to know, because I'm worried for Kit. I want to get closer to Kit. So I'm worried that they have bad intentions for them.
It's funny that you should say that, because as you study this person's motivations, one word comes to mind, although unfortunately you don't know who it's directed toward. That word is revenge.
Ooh, I like that. That's very good. Yeah, and as I pick that up, I pull away, making sure to like carefully guard my reaction. And I just say, just know that once we walk down this path, it will be very difficult to veer away from it.
I do not waver.
Well, if that's the case, I think we'll get along quite well.
You can tell their smile grows. But they will simply nod at you and bid you a very pleasant evening.
And so with that, I think Jin will pointedly like place the whip back on their waist, like sort of like communicating, so no duel then, before sauntering out of the chapel.
Not yet. Not yet. And we end the scene there, I think. What I would like to do, perhaps, is cut over to Tomi. Is there something that you would like to do at this point? Are you planning on having this duel with, Yasunoka, or is there something else that you need to do in addition to that?
So I think we haven't established like what the whole like dueling procedure is. I'm assuming we're gonna kind of like just wing it as we go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I need to go talk to Shinji first. I want to talk to Shinji, and I'm picturing, Tomi wants to make sure that this is going to be recognized by the school board and everything, and that we'll get what's owed to us.
Of course, yeah, no, we'll follow all proper protocols and procedures, of course. So you go to Shinji and you're essentially asking or trying to get what from them as you kind of start this scene off?
I think Tomi goes to Shinji and says, Shinji, you know that Yasunaka has been challenging the rowing club, nay me, forever now. I'm ready for this duel to happen. But I need you. I need it to be well observed. Do you think, can you get a big crowd together for this? I need the school to see my triumph.
Shinji will pause for a moment and kind of adjust their glasses, and it'll do the thing where there's the glare so you can't even see their eyes. It's just white spaces in the glass. And they'll think for a moment, well, I don't know if I can draw much of a crowd myself, but I know someone who might be able to.
Oh, you mean Jin, don't you?
Yeah, I'm glad we have the understanding. Yeah, that's who I was talking about.
Yeah, I noticed y'all have gotten really close. Spent a lot of time together. I'm glad. That's good for you.
Out of character, are you not aware of the relationship that they're in, or is this a kind of a low down kind of a thing, or?
I am. So my entanglement that I highlighted was that every person I've ever loved has instead fallen for my best friend Shinji, including my latest crush Jin. So Tomi is crushing on Jin, and it's a bit of a sore topic.
Right. My understanding is that Jin and Shinji are in a false relationship, but Jin has kind of caught feelings for Shinji,
which from Tomi's perspective looks 100% legitimate.
Absolutely. Shinji will say, yeah, well, I mean, Jin's a great person. I think we're very compatible, and just love being around. They're great. As a matter of fact, I think that we should discuss this, the three of us, kind of like a little mini date between the three. Well, not a date, but you know what I mean. And they're kind of stuttering a little bit, proposing that the three of you kind of get together.
A mini date. Gee, Shinji, I don't know. I'm pretty busy with training and everything, but if you think it's the way to get Jin to help us out, then I mean, okay, I can make some time.
Does this rise to the level of inner conflict?
I don't know, because I've never done this before. So I'm let's see, what does inner conflict say? When you come to face with emotional turmoil and pressure from entanglement or personal issue, mark XP. I think so. I think that makes sense.
Awesome. In that case, mark XP for rolling. You may select any element that is not your style element.
Any element's not my style.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's my XP, so add 1 to that. And so the element is like how I'm handling myself right now, right?
Yeah, your emotional state in this scene, the approach that you're taking, essentially.
So I can't use fire. I think this is probably... I'm gonna say wood. I think Tomi is curious about how solid is this relationship between Jin and Shinji. So I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious about how this is going to play out. So okay, so roll with wood. That's a sentence I never thought I'd say. That is an 8.
So let me see here. You have bonds with Jin and Suto. The one with Jin applies, but that'll just get you up to a 9. So on 7 to 9, you may choose to maintain your composure by either marking an element or withdrawing from the situation. If not, you either overreact and escalate, embarrass yourself socially, or create a misunderstanding with someone who is present. So how would you like to handle this?
I like the idea of creating a misunderstanding with someone present who I'm, at the moment, I'm only aware of Shinji in the scene. I'm, happy for there to be someone else, but I'm kind of picturing, I'm almost wondering if it could be like an unspoken misunderstanding where like Shinji said mini date. Maybe I really believe like, okay, we're gonna go on a mini three-person date. Okay, I'm open to that, Shinji.
Great. They seem taken aback by your agreeability and your eagerness. Certainly. Well, hey, a little cafe they'll tell you about is just kind of off campus a little bit, I'll check with Jen and maybe this evening, kind of 5-6 p.m. somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, I'll be there.
Great. Confusion. Anything else in this particular scene, Tomi?
I don't think so.
How do we feel about... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, how do we feel about Kit having overheard that conversation?
Kit always stalking in the halls. I'm fine with it.
If there's just like no way for it, like if there's no way, if you don't like, I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is from where we were before. So if it's not like reasonably possible, I'm totally cool with that. But I feel like...
I was picturing maybe this whole thing probably happens at like the end of like study hall or something. Like everyone else has been packing up to leave and I'm probably like hanging behind with Shinji in the classroom. Shinji's like at the front, right? Like he's got the satchel putting his stuff away. And so you could easily be out in the halls.
Yeah. And I was just spying on you before, right? That was how the last session ended. So maybe I'm like, oh, he's going to have a conversation. I want to check what that's about. Are we cool with that, David?
That is fine with me. And as a matter of fact, because this conversation is taking place in a cafe slightly off campus, how would you feel about the block that this cafe is seated upon being maybe Dust Devil territory?
Sure. Oh, that's even better. Maybe what actually happened then is that I got a tip from a Dust Devil friend that Tomi character who I've had my eye on is stop by, and maybe I want to sit in the kitchen or in the and see what I can hear.
I am all about that. So in that case, my thinking is I'd like to do maybe a scene with Izashi, and if by anime coincidence you would like to also set yourself up to be part of this date or like in part of the cafe scene or something like that? Or...
So I have to roll the move, right? I have a move about eavesdropping. That's what that was about. Yeah.
By all means, go ahead and make that roll. What's that going to be with element wise?
I think it's probably water. I think I'm trying to sort of like focus and be self-aware and be aware of what's going on and flow in or out of the situation as necessary, depending on what I hear. So let's roll +1 or 0. Water is +1. Yeah. 1, 2, +1. Roll. And that's a 7. So on a 7, after private conversation between PC and another character, so you were in place to overhear it and roll. On a 10 + 7, 9, you hear everything, but one of the involved parties sees you leave or finds evidence of your presence. I definitely want Tomi to have spotted me. think there's no question that maybe I had to like lean forward a little too much and stuck my head out the kitchen door or whatever it was, just to catch some low volume, and Tomi sees me.
And I was gonna say, Tomi, what's your
Sorry,
reaction?
quick clarification. You're eavesdropping on the conversation Tomi just had with Shinji, right? Because the cafe conversation is going to happen later.
Oh, I misunderstood. So yes, in that case, it was a study hall, and maybe I just like as you walk out of the study hall, right? I just don't like dart away fast enough, and so you see that I was right there. And I think you can probably either ignore it or confront me, I guess, if that's right. Does that make sense?
Let's see. How would Tomi take Kit listening in on this interesting conversation with Shinji about going on a three-way date with Jin later today? I think Tomi might just like give you this look and just be like, what are you following me around? Don't you have something to go do, Kit?
I just had to go back into the study hall. I left some stuff there.
What did you leave in study hall?
Pack of cigarettes.
Those things are going to kill you one day. He just walks off.
And I think I walk into the classroom or whatever, and that's...
All right. So, with that being said, maybe can we cut to Zashi at this point? Zashi, last we saw you, you had received an offer from Hifumi to join the chess team, however you want to phrase it. But we're kind of putting that on a hold. What's your next plan of action here?
I have two things going on right now. I think I like the idea of having scenes with some of the other clubs just to get me more tangled up in nonsense. If you want to do that, or we have this pending idea that Dire Axolotl considers me an enemy, and if we want to lean into that, I'm always excited to do that and have a scene with them.
Got it. Is there a particular club that you might like to get entangled with?
We haven't seen a lot of what the Arrow Club actually looks like yet, if we wanted to do that.
Okay. So that would be basically you interacting with Yasunaka. Very well. I think that, I'm getting kind of the order of events a little bit mixed up here, but we'll pretend that this is basically happening, that morning. And Suto, the ambassador, who is, showing you around, who you have this ravenous crush on, is going to show up, at the foot of your dorm. They won't come up to your door, but they'll be out, outside. And there is this lovely spring rain coming down. Nothing stormy, nothing that is unromantic, but a nice, pleasant spring rain in the morning. And you'll step out. Suto looks at you, says to you, "Hey, I thought we would check out the Arrow Club today. Is that okay with you?"
Yeah, no, and I like pull out this big list of clubs, and you can see I've got check marks on like.
Oh my goodness, I don't want you to get that wet. She unfurls an umbrella. I only have the one though. Do you mind sharing this umbrella with me?
Oh, and like no, like don't say anything like okay, okay, and I'm like trying to keep the thing under the umbrella, and like trying not to be like right up against her the whole time. It's doing the really like exaggerated like leaning.
Got it. So, like, I mean, she's having to like kind of tilt the umbrella a little bit to keep you from getting away, and it's like you guys are awkwardly like veering off, kind of at a slight right slant, because you're always
Yes.
stepping away from her, and she's always stepping toward you.
I love
and
it.
so, I imagine that you guys will go on this romantic walk through the quad, and eventually come to this gigantic, really kind of out of place airplane hangar. The Aero Club stashes their little prop propeller biplanes into. And you'll step inside, and Yasunaka is there. At this point, Tomi, has Yasunaka received word that a duel is imminent, that she is about to be challenged to one?
So the way I'm picturing this works in my head, because I think when we first set stuff up, we had established that Yasunaka had already gone to Kit about training for this duel. So I'm imagining, this is just my thought, we can tweak it, however the group likes, but maybe Yasunaka had challenged Tomi, but as the lower ranked club, it was basically my right to more or less wait until I accept at whatever point. And so the challenge has been out there, and I'm more or less now accepting it and saying, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. So in that case, Zashi, I think that you'll stroll into the cavernous hangar. There is this great echo sound as Suto will kind of shake off the umbrella and kind of get it back together. And she'll kind of call out in this echoing tone, Yasunaka, Yasunaka, and this extremely irritable looking girl will kind of shuffle over to you. And in so many words says, what do you want? Something's on her mind.
So I think Zachi's we walk into the hangar and we get this huge expanse with these big planes, and my jaw is just like on the floor. This is, oh my God, they're so big. There's so much going on. I have to imagine that if Yasunaka is in like the full flying outfit, it's fairly impressive.
I imagine
and so,
that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Zachi is just kind of overwhelmed by all of this, and is just like looking around, like doesn't even like have the brain processing power to say anything in this moment.
So you're here because you want to join or something, right?
Nods.
Mm-hmm. What do you know about flying? And there's the montage of you guys kind of like strolling through the hangar, kind of like looking at all the different planes and jets and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Do I get any hint that Suto is like doesn't like these people because Suto is part of the rowing club?
I think that that's reasonable. There might be some visible discomfort and some uncharacteristic silence on the part of Suto.
I'm considering inner conflict here because this is really cool. There's all this cool stuff. There's all these planes everywhere. But also, I have a crush on Suto, and she is clearly not having a good time. And I want to make it seem like I'm also not having a good time. And that's hard.
I like it. So I think that what will happen is, you'll get the grand tour, and she'll tell you about this engine versus that engine, and these are the different kind of things that we do, and so on and so forth. And the end of the whole thing, she'll kind of be complimentary of you and say that, yeah, she thinks you might have what it takes. Yeah, I think we'd be willing to try you out. Suto, what do you think? And you look, Suto is dead quiet. She does not want to turn you over to the Aero Club. She is downcast. She's doing the whole thing where her anime bangs cover her eyes and there's just a black line, and she's just totally stone cold quiet. I think picking up on that. So I think that, yeah, Yasunaka will look at you and say, well, what do you say? Are you in or not?
there have been a couple of times during this montage where Zashi is just looking up at a big engine. He's got the big star eyes, and I love it. So I'm gonna roll here with metal
Okay.
because I'm trying to control myself
Okay.
and look like I'm in control when I'm really not.
Sure.
And so it is
So-
2d6 minus 1 for a total of 5.
So in total, that's going to be 2 XP. I think you get 1 for rolling and then 1 for miss. And then the GM gets to make things much worse. I think that she will say, all right, good. Well, how about this then? We've got an arrow show coming up here for the cultural festival. And I've got a friend who's got some friends who want to tag along. So would you mind, nothing fancy, but we'll show you the ropes. Let's have you fly in this show. And we'll hook you up with one of my friend's friends. And of course, she's referring to Kit and the Dust Devils.
What? Whoa, what?
It'll be fine. You'll learn all about it. I mean, we've still got 2 or 3 weeks. That's enough time for you to learn how to do a couple of little loop-de-loops or something like that, isn't it? You're not like stunt team
A
level or
couple of
anything like that.
loopy-loops. I've never touched a plate before. What is going on?
Zashi, I thought you were serious about this.
Oh, okay. We'll try this. And I'm looking at Sucho like shrugging, like
She is trembling. She's like gripping the hilt of this umbrella that she has, trying to just keep her composure.
like the little bit of vibrating. Yeah, that's really good. I guess I'm flying in the air show now.
Good. I will see you here at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Yes?
Oh, okay. And I'm assuming she just like walks off at that point. Like I'm saying okay to her back as she's walking away.
Yes. What she is out of character, what she is definitely doing is she is going straight for Kit to basically say, fine, whatever you need me to do. Like I'll let you put your people up in the plane. Just you got to train me here. I mean, I think that's going to be the natural next scene, or at least part of a scene for Kit.
Do we want to say that Kit was just over in the corner and actually just transition to that? Because Kit seems to be in all of these scenes every time.
I'm okay with that. And then we can maybe cut over to our cutesy dinner date, our 3-way dinner date.
My one thing is that I would really, really love to crash that dinner date, like about midway through. That's why I was eavesdropping, and the entanglement I took. Like everybody else, I am in love with Jin, but unfortunately, they're loyal to Dyer. So I'm happy to do this. If we want to do the scene with Yasunaka, I'm to push the plot forward. I am happy to do it. But my focus is elsewhere. I think as we're having this conversation, I think I'm distracted.
Got it. Then perhaps, I mean, just to get the scene kind of framed and done with, we might have a situation where Yasunaka will approach you and say, hey, I gotta talk to you. And you were like halfway out the door going to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, maybe it's interesting if I just blow her off.
Oh my goodness. So
right.
There's no conversation. She's throwing herself at your feet, pleading, you've got to help me. Listen, I've got to duel this guy. You're the only one. And you're just, no.
No, yeah. I said, look, I'm sorry, not now. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I gave you, I made an offer before, you didn't take it. Now I got to go.
She yells at you as you kind of walk off. If I fail, if I lose this duel, I'm holding you responsible.
Then fuck you. I don't need to swear there. Then challenge me.
That's the fan sub.
Yeah. If you lose, then challenge me. See where that gets you.
Excellent. All right, well then that will be determined by the outcome of that duel. But for now, I think what we'll do is go over to the little dinner date, but at the same time, I could see this scene taking a little bit more than 10 minutes. Would people like to go ahead and get the first break out of the way now, just so that we have a bit more time to cover it? And okay, so great. I have 6 past the hour. Let's just come back at 15. Take 9 and go from there. Okay, see people in a little bit.
See ya.
Okay, so at this point, I think what we're going to do is cut over to the soon-to-be very crowded date down at the cafe. I envision this as taking place in kind of a neat little cafe, sort of on the maybe a side of town that is not quite as fancy and cosmopolitan as the cafe would like you to believe. I think a lot of the locals might see this place and think, well, we don't really have the money or interest in this kind of thing, because I imagine that it's a very cutesy kind of traditional kind of place that's got like no, it wouldn't be traditional if it had this, but it's got like all this like milk tea and like boba stuff in it, and it has all these like fancy desserts with like matcha and red bean sundaes and like shaved ice, where they take the strawberries and they carve them into little hearts by hand if the people are on a date, that kind of thing. And they've got kind of all these like old recycled bar stools that they use for seating. It's got a very cutesy kind of atmosphere going on. And so my understanding is that Tomi and you know that all three of you were going to be there. Jin, are you taken aback when you show up and Tomi is also there? Do you think that they told you that there were going to be 3 people on this little date?
Ooh. I think I like the idea that Shinji tried to tell me and I didn't hear it. I was too busy thinking about, what am I going to do with my kid? What is this thing about revenge? What's going on? Of course it's going to be easy, and so whatever Shinji said, I get, oh, yes, darling, of course. And so when I show up, it's like a flashback to, oh, that's what they were trying to tell me.
And Tomi, what is your reaction when Jin walks through the door? I imagine that, unless you say otherwise, you're already kind of seated there with Shinji about to kind of get down to business, and then Shinji says, oh, there they are. And Jin appears. How might Tomi react to this?
I think that this is when Tomi, seemingly from behind his back, produces a bouquet of flowers and stands up and gets this like very big nervous grin on his face, just looking between Shinji and Jin. And as Jin will approach, I'll offer the flowers. Here you go, Jin.
I would like to draw your attention to the confession move. Now it's up to you if this falls to, rises to that level, but there is a move that is specifically for Academy of the Blade that's not in the core Hearts of Wulin game, that is literally about how you try to confess to someone that you're into them, and it never exactly goes the right way.
I think we're working to that. I don't think we're quite to that moment yet.
Very well, but it's on your radar now. Awesome. So you present the bouquet of flowers to whom exactly?
So Tomi was going to arrive with flowers and chocolates. I think Shinji, I've given the chocolates to Shinji, and so I'm picturing Shinji like with chocolate around their mouth, already like halfway through the box as Jin is arriving, and I'm handing the flowers to them. And I don't know, maybe Shinji's just like, I don't know what's up with Tomi, but he got me chocolates, he got you flowers.
And I think Jin sees it because, I just clearly established the whole point of getting together with Shinji was to make Tomi jealous, right? So when I see the flowers, I let out a pleasant surprise sound, take the flowers, and I say, oh, Tomi, this is so sweet, but not enough chocolate for me? And I lean over to like take a bite from the chocolate that's in Shinji's mouth.
Shinji was supposed to share.
Well,
he's never been very good at that, though, and I shoot him a look knowingly as I kind of like glance back at Jin.
I place an elbow on Shinji's shoulder and I look at you. Oh, but I'm very good at sharing. I wouldn't mind sharing it all.
More awkward grinning.
Now, the beauty of it is that Shinji is not into either of you. If I remember my relationship map correctly. So Shinji blushes. Absolutely. And speaking of sharing, I have some information that I would like to share. Tomi, my understanding is that you wanted to talk about getting a duel set up with the member of the Arrow Club, the President Yasunoka. Is that correct?
That's correct, Shinji. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for coming tonight, everyone. As you may be aware, there has been a duel on the table between the Aero Club and the Rowing Club, Yasunaka and myself. I have decided it is time to accept this challenge and that we shall have this duel, hopefully before the school. Jin, this is where I could really use your help.
Oh, little old me? What can I do for you, darling?
I need you to work up a crowd. I'm not as good at the crowd building thing.
Oh, a crowd, you say. And as Jin says that, places a chin on their fingers. I think that's when we notice that there are all these people around the windows, like trying to peer in to look at Jin. I wonder how I could manage something like that. Don't worry, I'll figure it out.
Good. It's important that everyone see that Yasunaka defeated by me. Finally, the rowing club will take its place.
Can I interject here?
Sure.
I thought this would be a hilarious moment for Tomi to, like, the bell over the door rings and Zashi walks in with the stupid pilot's cap on and Suto is like leading me in, like I'm like fumbling with all of this stuff and trying to like figure out how the piloting thing works, and also like the two of us have no idea that this whole thing is going on in the background, but we just go and get a table off in the corner just to add more drama to the whole scene.
Shinji says, "Oh yeah. Speaking of, did you hear Zashi joined the Aero Club?" Speaking to Tomi.
It's one of those like tight zoom ins on his face as it's like super long and just like, what? I spot Suto and it's just tiny beady eyes. I've been betrayed.
I was gonna say, what is your reaction? I mean, these are terrible optics for Suto. Do you call them out here and there? Does this rise to the level of inner conflict? Do you keep your cool and just stay put? But my God, I'm gonna deal with them later. Like how do you react to this?
No, I like the idea of calling them out here. I think Tomi probably loses his cool at this point and stands up, points accusingly at Suto, yelling across the cafe, "Suto, how could you? How could you do this to me? You've betrayed us, everything we were working for." And then he turns his attention to Zashi. "I knew it. I knew you were trouble from the moment you showed up."
Zashi?
I'm startled. I think you get the frame and of me just like wide eyes, and my hat starts slowly sliding off because it's too big and doesn't fit on my head anyway. I quickly right the hat. I don't know what you're talking about. Homie, is that right? What are you? What? And then I look over at Suto, who is very clearly like ashamed in this moment. And like, oh.
And I think at this point, Jin recognizes this poor, lost, vulnerable kitten who's been caught up in this mess. And I think Jin will step over. Now, there's a lot of tension in the room. And I don't think we've met, darling, I say, looking at Zashi. I'm Jin Watanabe. It's a pleasure to meet you. And I offer my hand.
I roll inner conflict right away because I'm falling apart.
What
Zashi
element?
can't handle.
What it's gonna be?
I'm gonna roll with water because I think there is an amount of wisdom of not falling for Jin.
By all means, mark XP. And I think also at this point, maybe this is when Kit enters the scene.
Yeah, maybe like a minute or two before, I was sort of like watching it play out, and I think Jin stepping up to approach Zashi is a great moment for me to have a response. But do we want to see the result of Zashi's roll before we?
I got an 11, so I do manage to keep myself together.
Mm-hmm. And I think at sort of that, I kind of position my body, right, such that, right, there's this kind of, I guess, square going on with like Tomi yelling at Suto, who is nominally my girlfriend, right, and Jin hitting on Zashi, or at least, expressing some interest in Zashi, and I'm in love with Jin. And the only and so there's like some kind of like conflicting loyalties here, and of course, I've just come from blowing off Yasunaka and sort of taking, and Tomi knows I was eavesdropping. And I think the play here is just to like fully step up and take Suto's side, but like in an ostentatious way. And I think I raised my voice towards Tomi. I raised my voice and I'm talking to Suto, but really what I'm doing is yelling at Tomi. And what I say, see, Suto, these clubs are all worthless. Just mindless loyalty to an institution that doesn't help you. See, Tomi's supposed to be your friend, right? Your loyal leader. And what, you show a moment of doubt, and what does he do? And really what I'm trying to do is impress Jin. That's what this is. This is impress. If that makes sense.
That'll play.
Does that work as the trigger? I didn't actually look at what the trigger is. When you act to impress or succeed, yeah. So, right, and it's all about this kind of like social performance of kind of like negging Tomi and like boosting up, Suto. And I think and of course shitting on the school. And I'm sort of trying to sort of like perform this. I'm super cool. I defend my friends, and that jerk that I think you're here on a date with is just a jerk, right? If that makes sense.
Absolutely. This is a big bravado show off, as far as I can tell.
Exactly. I don't know. I'm curious how Suto feels about it being a prop in this, but
I'm also curious if Zashi, if you're going to let Kit, crush A, talk to Suto, crush B, in that way.
Yeah, and what am I rolling with? I think it's probably fire, unfortunately. Right? Like I am like sincere. I sincerely think clubs are stupid and the school is the worst thing in the world, and that's what I'm expressing here. And so I think what I'm trying to do is impress Jin with my passion. I think that's probably right, but I'm bad at it. So let's see how this goes. Too many dice. Those were already there. roll. That's an 8. That's not so terrible. When you
Nice.
when you roll an 8 on impress, on a hit, you impress and convince, pick 2. On a 7 to 9, I guess you offer me a hard choice. So I would like to create a bond with Jin.
Yeah, and I think the way that it looks like is there's a close up of Shodra bubbles and red roses that bloom to represent all that passion on display.
Mm-hmm. And I don't, you know what, actually, can we swap that? Maybe I'm creating the bond with Tomi, is what's happening, or Suto. Can you create a bond with an NPC? I forget.
Absolutely can.
So I think I'm creating the bond with Suto. And hopefully gaining favor from Jin if he will let me. If that makes sense, if you want to, if like it works in that way. And I'm curious what my complication or hard choice is.
I think that's kind of right as you hit this fever pitch with this war speech you're kind of giving. I think that's the part when one of the other Dust Devils will, in a complete panic, throw the door open to this cafe. Kid, we've got a situation out here.
What's going on?
A bunch of guys moving in on our territory. You gonna help us stop them?
Yeah. And I think I turn to, now I'm going to try and use my favor. I'm going to turn to Jin and try and pull them out of the situation and to come with me and say, how do you feel about a fight? You like to fight, right?
And so I stand up very beautifully, dust my uniform off where there's no dust. I'm impeccable for sure. But and I say, well, darling, I'm more of a lover rather than a fighter. But even as I say that, there's this like dangerous glint in my eye, and I smile. And I turn around and I look at Shinji and Tomi. I'll just be a few minutes. Kid and I are strong enough together to destroy anyone.
Mm-hmm. And I lean in and give Suto a quick peck on the cheek, like almost what's the word I'm looking for?
Like I'm heading out, hun.
Yeah, like a very thoughtless, right? It's just like, oh, this is how I say goodbye to the person I'm nominally in a relationship with. I'm not sure how Zashi feels about that. I'm very curious. And or how Suto feels about that, and just like disappear out the door.
And I think when Jin leaves, inexplicably, there are 2 black roses, one in front of Shinji and one in front of Tomi. As a I'll be right back kind of gesture.
Sashi, Tomi, what do you do?
I was going to ask Tomi, do you want to come and like sit down at this table with us and really get into this conversation, or is this Tomi like throws up their arms and turns away and like enough of this kind of a moment?
I think Tomi watches Jin leave the cafe and then turns to Suto and says, "You ruined my date. Suto, it's clear you can't be trusted. You are no longer welcome in the rowing club." And I think this is inner conflict.
I don't think you've rolled this scene yet.
No, I haven't.
By all means.
And I think like Tomi says this like in a very controlled fashion. So I'm gonna roll with metal on this one. So that's a +1. That's an 11.
Well, you get to still mark XP for rolling if you haven't already.
And let's see, what's the outcome on 10 plus? Keep it together. And so I think with that, I think I'm actually going to withdraw myself anyways still from the area, because this date's been ruined, and it's Suto's fault, it's Zashi's fault. And I just turn to Shinji and I say, make sure that the duel is on.
Sure, whatever you say. You've inadvertently intimidated them and virtually everybody else in the cafe as well with that show of sternness. Zashi, I think this is the part where you see the teardrop fall onto the table, Suto quivering, and I think that having no other recourse, this is the time when she will throw herself into your arms and just sob uncontrollably into your shoulder.
Can I offer that maybe she runs out of the cafe and we have this happen like outside, maybe like around a corner or something that's a little more like not in the middle of all this crowd of people.
Not in the middle of a street fight that's happening right outside.
Yeah,
kind of like,
yeah.
Okay. So how do you chase after her? Maybe she rushes out the door. Are you chasing after her and you finally track her down, or?
Yeah, I think this is the like I'm like I wait, Suto, and I'm like push away from the chair. There are like papers and books, and my hat goes falling onto the ground as I rush out in this kind of flurry of pages that's very reminiscent of the intro scene of me dumping my books all over the place. And we rush out into the street, and she kind of runs into an alley to try and avoid any confrontation. And I chase after her. And Suto, are you okay?
She is trying to keep her composure, but I mean, how composed can you be when the person you trusted to lead you just threw you out of the rowing club when you were just trying to do your job? And she will express this to you in this angry, crying, discouraged, hopeless mix of emotions. And she is kind of like grabbing you by kind of like the lapel of your shirt or your shoulders or whatever, and is just trying to stand on her feet at this point, as she is just sobbing so much into you. How do you respond to this?
I think that I think there's something like she says like, now I've lost all my friends, and I just like pull her face up a little bit and say, you haven't lost all your friends. And I'm going to roll to comfort and support.
One thing I am confused about with comfort or support is it appears to me to be a PC to PC move. So I don't know that comfort or support apply. Yeah, no, it's strange because there's all these different times in this game where I've seen people, having to comfort a sobbing NPC, but I don't know that there's necessarily a move for that other than Hearts and Minds, but that's really only if you're trying to get them to agree to or do something.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
So I mean, I think that will still, though, this moment of kind of touching emotional intimacy as you kind of like form this connection with her is wonderful. I'll give you a choice here, kind of out of character, because I don't know how in character this is for Suto or how we envision her to be. You mentioned earlier that you wanted to be a little bit more involved with kind of the dueling scene here. So we can have this or we cannot, but I'll at least propose the idea that Suto will kind of perhaps look up at you through kind of like tear-stained eyes. She's got makeup running down her face like she just got dumped at prom, and she's out here and she says to you, in so many words, she basically says, hey, kick Tomi's ass for me. Is that something that would be in character for her? I mean, it could potentially get you kind of more enmeshed with everybody. I'll leave that to you. What do you think?
Oh my God, if there's some like weird obscure rule that allows Yasunaka to like declare a second or something, and so it's me fighting Tomi instead, because now I'm part of the Arrow Club.
I think there can be now.
It's a terrible idea for the Arrow Club because I'm good at dueling.
Yasunaka might cower out at the last minute. And
or I stick myself in there and declare that I have to do this for the honor of Suto or some nonsense. I love
all
it.
right. Okay. Excellent. So that is what will happen basically. She asks this of you, and I think that we will zoom out to the streets kind of at large and go to Kit and Jin. We've got a full-on kind of West Side Story street fight brewing out here in the alleyway. There's a few kind of scattered, under experienced members of the Dust Devils who are kind of like grabbing whatever weapons they kind of can, just improvise, pieces of pipe, or, someone's got a pair of brass knuckles, but nothing too particularly fancy. And not really strolling or moving so much as marching in regimented hierarchical order down the street. You see a rival gang that, Kit, you actually don't really recall having ever seen before, dressed in matching black uniforms with, on kind of their breastplate here, they're doing the snapping of fingers on their breastplate, these jet black uniforms with a red hourglass insignia on their breastplate. They seem to be marching toward you, and they seem pretty intent on beating up all of you. Kit, I'll give you the dibs here. What do you do?
So, I brandish my glaive. I think this is one of those like moments where it's like one of those anime moments where it's like, I think there's like the scenery disappears and there's like this brief sort of like freeze frame of me like pulling this glaive from sort of like behind my back and around. The pennant that hangs from below the blade is like streaming out behind it, and like, where was it a minute ago? I guess on my back, but like you should have been able to see it and it wasn't. Whatever. Maybe during a duel there's some cool like Utena like sword coming out of chest kind of stuff going on, but not here. This is not that. And I think, but like, and so I'm like, I brandish this spear towards this street gang, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but you don't have to do this. There's more than enough for all of us up at the school. We don't need to fight over this petty town territory. We can all work together, take out those assholes.
I imagine that they've got kind of the biggest one among them, sort of the head of this little pack. He'll say to you something along the lines of, the Black Widow Syndicate does not negotiate. Not with the likes of you.
And I think at that point, I want to sort of like take a close look at this guy and really the whole group and just try to study them.
Absolutely.
And I'm doing it with wood. This is like straight up like, who the hell are these people? I'm curious. I'm willing to take my time, sort of squint at them and, figure out what's going on. I thought I knew who the players were, and now I don't, and that's interesting to me. More interesting than scary at the moment. We'll see what happens after I roll. And that's a 9.
You might have the option here. Oh, well, I was going to say you might be able to spend a bond here, but I don't know that there's anyone present who it would make sense to burn a bond with here. But...
yeah, I don't think.
Oh, you can burn a bond with anybody though. They don't have to be in the scene.
Yeah, but I don't have a bond that I want to spend right now anyway. I'm happy to get the 9 on this. So I get 1 hold. And I want to know, can I reveal a detail?
Absolutely. I love that when people do that, actually.
And I think I see hanging from this leader's belt a dagger. a bejeweled dagger that belongs to my father. And we can either leave it at that if you don't want me to like explain. I have an idea for why he might have it, but I'm also cool if you want to just sort of leave it hanging and use that and keep it an open question that we play to find out.
I'd like to hear the idea.
Yeah, so the idea is that I think this is the conclusion I reach, and we can decide whether or not it's true or not. But the conclusion I reach when I see it there is that this gang has been financed, bribed, put together by my dad and other powerful alumni perhaps at the school, but certainly my dad, to distract and harry the Dust Devils, and so prevent us from trying to sabotage stuff at the school.
That sounds good to me. I was gonna say this actually goes in closely along with kind of the familial enmeshment you have with Dyer and everybody else.
Oh, Dyer Axolotl 100%. Maybe he's even the person that handed off the dagger that was the intermediary. Maybe not, but you know.
So that's what you spy. You've got your weapon drawn. Jen, what is your reaction to the people, the insignia, the way the kid's responding to? There's a lot happening here.
And I think Jin looks at Kit and says, well, I never thought that it would take this long for you to get things started. How about I make the first move, darling? And so I'm going to try to take them all on.
I was going to say, I think that... Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to say I lower my glaive and sort of like lean on it, kind of like a staff or something, forward as like a show of confidence and support. Like, I'm here, but do your thing. I'm excited to see it.
Certainly. And so what I'm hearing is that, Jin, you are rushing in to basically do the deal with troops move. You're trying to collectively beat this pack of gang members. Let's go ahead and have that roll, and then we'll see what happens based upon the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So what it looks like is I smile at Kit. I sort of like wink and blow a kiss while I'm doing that. And when I turn around, the buckles come undone around my clothes and they form the whip as the roses start to flow. And so let's see if this is actually going to... So I'm going to use my style element of metal. Okay. Did the roll happen?
I saw an 11 on my end.
Ooh, okay, I will take it.
Alrighty, so in that case, you do so easily. Describe how you fend these people off.
Let's see. I'm gonna say sometimes it takes a little long to update. I have to refresh to be able to see it. But yeah. I saw it now, so definitely taking the 11. The way that it looks is, I think for a moment, it's true anime fashion. Jin disappears. It's just like lines, and it just looks like roses and thorns hitting each of them one by one. But Jin being Jin, when I hit them, I make sure they're in compromising positions, like right, as they're like hit by the whipping and the roses, right? And then when I come back, standing next to Kit, I lean against Kit, and then that's when all of them drop down onto the ground at the same time. And I say, oh, I'm sorry, Kit. I was meaning to leave a few for you, but oh well.
I like Jim. I applaud. And I'm like, that was some show, Jin. I think after that, I think two things happen, if that's okay. I think Kit kisses Jin. And I think they roll inner conflict. Or maybe they roll inner conflict first, and that will sort of determine whether, I think that's better. I'm gonna roll inner conflict here, if that's cool. And definitely rolling that with fire. Rolling a lot of fire, despite being really bad at it. That is quite bad.
That is a 3.
Yeah, so what happens on a miss? I do mark XP on a miss.
You too.
You make things much worse. And I think the, just to like spotlight what the conflict was about, right, is it's about that entanglement, right? Like I'm even more drawn to him than I was before. I found that like incredibly attractive, that ass kicking that they gave to this gang, which is, you know, loyal to my father, who I hate. But also, they've got these entanglements with Dyer and with the school, and like, do I want to act on that? And that's the inner conflict.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, I do have an idea, David, unless you had an idea for how you're gonna make things worse.
I'd like to hear yours. I have some ideas, but I'd like to hear yours.
I'm going to say I kind of have the idea that Jin is going to reveal the reason why they can take out these goons so easily is because they were trained by your father, and that's how they got so strong.
Oh, that's so good.
Let's go with that.
So
as you say that, I say, well, I have been trained quite well, and I think that's when you like put 2 and 2 together, like what the moves look like.
Yeah, and I was also trained by my father, right? I mean, this is the fact that he kept us separate, given that we're roughly the same age, is interesting. And I think I say, oh, you're all tangled up with everybody, with my father, with the school.
And I look at you and I say, I look at you and I say, the truth is, Kit, that I'm just a weapon, but I can be your weapon if you want to hold me.
Can I point you at my father? Will you're a whip, right? So will you flay him for me?
And I step closer, very, very close, like face to face. I'll hurt anyone you ask me to.
Oh, see, now I do have to kiss you, right? Like, there's really no choice. And that might also be confession now. Earlier it wasn't gonna be, but that was too much. Are we okay with that? I just want to make sure everyone's okay with that.
I'm cool with being kissed at almost any time, so no worries.
Okay.
If you look at the confession move, I would say take a look at the potential outcomes, and if those seem to fit, then roll. If any of them seem like it would make things kind of stilted, or would kind of like, wait, that's not how the story is really working, then don't. I'll leave that up to you.
Right, that's an interesting. I actually didn't look too closely at the move. You're right. That is like an interesting move where like you're trying to keep yourself from confessing. I actually don't understand this move at all.
The idea is you're trying to confess, but the world is not letting you.
Right. It is never possible to confess your love with this move.
Yeah, there's another move that I'm just gonna bring it up because I use it all the time as the delinquent. That's closer to being able to say
No.
what you mean.
I like this though. I like this. I don't actually like, meaning I want to be distant, but I think right, like the kiss can't actually say it. I like that. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Perfect.
And I like it better than what I thought it was. And again with fire, and that's a 5. They reject you. They don't remember you. They interrupt to ask advice on confessing to someone else. Yeah. Are you okay with rejecting me here and like without walking? I don't know. Can you do it without walking back what you just said? Maybe you don't want it. I don't know. Tell me how you reject me.
Yeah, I'm going to say what it looks like is, I think when you kiss me, I kiss you back in a way that you realize is practiced. Like I'm not letting myself open up to the kiss fully. Right. And when I pull away, I look at you and I say, next time, kiss me like you mean it.
I think I respond, well, it looks like you're a fighter after all, Jen.
What do you make of the dagger? Do you take it?
Oh, I think I do. I would prefer. I think I do. I think I pull it out of the sheath and shove it in away somewhere.
Noted. So at this point, I suppose we might want to cut over to Tomi. I think you're the furthest removed from everything that just happened.
I mean, I think for Tomi, I don't have anything else immediately that I think needs to be played out. I guess I'm really interested in getting to this duel, which I imagine is probably not the same day. This might be the next day or even a couple days after this point. But that's kind of what the next thing on my mind is.
Got it.
Can I suggest something?
Sure.
Dyer gets wind of the fact that I'm going to be participating in the duel and so goes to help Tomi. In maybe not a legal way. Like goes to help Tomi cheat.
I was also going to suggest that with the, in the show version of this, right, we definitely get scenes of like jumping back and forth probably between Tomi and Zashi, like training at their clubs, getting ready. Suto is over there with you as well, now dressed in an Aero Club outfit.
The part that I am confused by is, and this is a good problem to have, I don't know which duel we're referring to. Is this the one that was originally going to be between Tomi and Yasunaka? Or is this the duel that is happening because Suto told Zashi to fight Tomi? I'm just trying to keep that part straight in my head.
We have decided that those are the same duel.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So basically Yasunaka has told Zashi, you're going in for me.
Or I have said, I want to do this, and Yasunaka is like, okay, you're the fresh meat,
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I can totally
do.
I think it makes sense, right? That like the duel is ostensibly Aero Club versus Rowing Club. And so it's whoever that club wants to send. Of course, Tomi is going to fight for the Rowing Club. And so I think I could totally buy that. Like Zashi is like, well, no, I have to go now.
Absolutely. Okay.
I was just gonna say, I bet like Yasunaka didn't get the training that she was looking for. And maybe she's like looking for a reason to step back and not embarrass herself personally.
Yeah, I think she's afraid of losing face. So which really says something about her level of confidence if she's sending Zashi of all people in to fight on her behalf.
When they lose, there's someone else to blame, right?
Oh yeah, this has some relatively high stakes for both parties. We have Tomi fighting for the honor of the rowing club, of course. I mean, the whole cultural festival hinges on this. And of course, Zashi, you have Suto's honor to defend. You're new to the Arrow Club. There's just so much to consider. So maybe we should go ahead and just see how that duel plays out. So if you look at the PC versus PC duel move, the critical thing to determine at the outset is who is the designated challenger. It's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's who's challenging the person to the duel, or is it mutual, in which case you flip a coin?
I think Tomi is, in both senses, the challenger. You are challenging the Arrow Club for their position, and you are challenging Suto's honor. And in both cases, I am defending that position.
I'm totally good with that. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to, before we even proceed with the move, set the stage here. I'd like to know where this is happening, what time of day. Jin, are you able to conjure up the crowd as asked? I'd like to know kind of what this is looking like. So, I mean, if Tomi, you're the challenger, I suppose you might have the authorial say here.
So I'm curious, I'll open it up for the group. Do we think, like, is there like an arena or a ring where these duels take place? Because this,
I started hearing the Utena music in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like, because there are rankings and everything. So I feel like this is very much an official part of the school. We could say that there's more than one arena, right? If in case we want to like change things up, but there are like specific areas.
I have an idea. Oh, no ideas. Okay.
I was gonna say. So can I bring in a Ruby thing here, where the ring? This school has an inordinate amount of money, and the ring physically changes. Like there's a randomizer, and so the terrain will like come up out of the floor. And so sometimes it's a forest, and sometimes it's a desert, and sometimes it's a like there's a lava pit in the middle for no reason.
Can we add like a surreal Utena twist to it, where, right, meaning it's not like a Danger Room Ruby kind of like, we're gonna have all of these cool tactical configurations for you to practice, right? But it like reflects, it somehow or another reflects emotional states and subtext.
Of course.
I would like to add one thing. I'm more than happy with all of that. In keeping with the incessant hourglass symbolism that seems to be injected here, might this arena, which again shifts from inequality, might this arena be at the top of the school's clock tower? And you have a situation where each person enters kind of a single person elevator on either side, and they go up. The old kind of iron wrought doors slide open, and they're facing each other on either side of the clock tower, and you have the big clock face on one side of the arena. But perhaps just for symbolism's sake, sometimes you don't see the hands of the clock. Sometimes it's just an hourglass engraved, something to that effect.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea, like no matter where you are, the elevator opens, will appear, and that's when you know the duel is going to start, right? So it could show up in the library, or it could show up in the dorm, but the duel is going to begin.
So like you might enter the elevator, but who knows where you'll pop out. I like it. Okay then. So we've got the scene set.
Yeah, I was wondering. So we mentioned the arena like shifts to reflect the subtext and the emotional tones. So in our case, I'm wondering what those are. I think so like Tomi is very much feeling betrayed and feeling like this is a matter of not honor and dignity. It's more of like, this is what's owed to the rowing club. It's like a bit of pride, I would say.
I think Zashi's primary emotion right now is like pressure. Like people are expecting him to do this, and he has no idea what he's doing. And so it's that kind of overwhelming sense of burden.
This might be, I don't know if too surreal as possible with something based off of Utena, but I mean, my thinking is, I mean, I'm trying to combine the symbolic elements of water and air, given the respective clubs. Is there a strange way that it could be basically happening in a tempest, like there's basically a stormy sea and people are jumping off of waves, because it's still kind of wuxia, like you're still walking on water and jumping over waves as like these winds crash about you, and it's like that kind of thing.
I love that. Yeah, just, waves that appear, and you never get like the full sense of it. And so it just, you just go with it. It makes sense. I'm good with that.
Absolutely. And Jin, what kind of crowd were you able to conjure up, and how?
Oh wait, sorry. Was the question for me? I totally.
Oh no, that's
flipped for a
totally okay.
moment.
I was asking, I think we've got the stage set for what the dueling arena basically is and how it looks and so on and so forth. I'm asking, what kind of crowd were you able to summon up, and how exactly did you do that?
Oh yeah, I like the idea that. So we have the two of them. I want to play into the theme somehow. I think all of these people show up like mysteriously, like in like a slightly darker version of the school uniform, and each of them are like carrying a book, right? That like and each of them are like quoting like the rivalries and the misunderstandings, miscommunication. I think it's part of the theme, like what's going on here. And they're sort of like unconsciously like creating a choir of sound around the fight. And Jin is just behind them, like cloaked, partly in darkness, just watching the duel unfold.
I think that as basically the president of the student council, it makes sense for Dyer to be present, kind of watching from a balcony. He's not part of just the circle that everyone forms around the kids fighting in the schoolyard. He's kind of up in this elevated, lofty place looking down upon his domain. Anyone else who should be present, or do we think that we have the scene set pretty well? I think Suto is obviously going to be present. Yasunoka is definitely going to be present. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anyone else.
Is the rowing club in the back like cheerleading?
I imagine the respective clubs are there, pretty much acting the way that, problematic authors aside, Hogwarts students act at a Quidditch game, where they kind of cheer whenever someone gets a gold or whatever. I imagine the respective clubs are all there. So in that case, let's talk about the PC versus PC duel move. It's fascinating because if you look at it, there's actually no dice rolling involved. It's basically a short negotiation. And the way that it looks essentially is challenger, I want to say, gets the floor to start off with. You basically, Tomi, tells Ashi, here is what I will give you if you let me win. And that can be any number of mechanical things, unspent bonds, XP that you want to duel out, that kind of thing. It can also be kind of metagamey fictional stuff. But you basically make an offer, and at that point, it goes over to Zashi, and they get to decide if they are going to accept, reject it outright, or make a counteroffer. So, Tomi, you have the floor here.
Yeah, I am thinking that my offer is essentially to release any influence I have over Suto. So I think mechanically that comes out to me burning the bond that I have, and then also probably rewriting the entanglement I don't know exactly what I'd rewrite it to. I'm a little unclear on that part, but I think in the story, yeah, I think it's Tomi losing all influence over Suto.
I can see that, and I think that just means you get to like completely write a new entanglement, because I don't think that any of that would remain. Um, I'm trying to think I'm trying to think if there's a good counter offer. I don't think there is a good counter offer that I can really make here. So I think I'm going to accept that. I don't think there's any chance in hell that Zaki is winning this.
Can I ask a question? Just because I'm curious about the consequence here. So you release any like I forget what the word you use, whatever thing you have over Suto. Like, do you apologize? Do you try to make amends? Like, is there like a sense of like that you wronged her, or are you just like, we're done?
That's a good question. I'm picturing that it's not so much an apology as an acceptance that this is just how it is now, and more or less a promise, like to not come back and dangle the carrot of, hey, do you want to be in the rowing club?
I think that's reasonable. So I think I'll accept that. Yeah, do you want to, do we want to just describe this duel real quick? Like what is Tomi's intro here?
I think the Tomi's intro to the battle and everything is definitely like a wave. As he steps into the arena, a wave with the trident splashes over and brings it to his hand. And, there's probably some level of menacing talk about how you're a fool to have taken this spot, Zashi. You've been tricked and manipulated just like the rest of them, but I'll show you.
I think Zashi is walking in from the other side. I pull this sword out of a sheath that's just kind of like strapped weirdly over my outfit. I've got the pilot's cap on, but I've got nothing else that really indicates what like why I'm here. I pull this sword out and I hold it out, and then as this wave kind of comes up under me, it like rocks me a little bit, and the sword just breaks into about 8 pieces that all dangle out in front and start hanging like a chain. And I'm like holding the sword, like, what is going on? And that is the moment that Tomi comes in and starts the attack, and I'm like wildly flailing this whip chain thing in front of me, trying to just back off. And I think there's a moment where like I try and block you, but end up just getting the chain wrapped around your trident. And I'm very unsteady on my feet. How do you take advantage of that moment?
I think I pull the trident with the direction that you're falling, flipping you over as your blade whip falls out of your hand, and I shake it free of the trident, and just you look up from the ground as the points are in your face, and I just say, I have you, Zashi. The duel is over.
That might be the point when the waves suddenly calm. and you find yourselves basically afloat still waters.
Ooh, can I suggest for the clock? Like maybe that's when we hear the last grain fall through the hourglass and it echoes throughout the dueling arena.
There's the sudden like zoom out as the echo happens. I love it. So, there you go. If you didn't already, Zashi, I believe you get to mark XP for having lost a duel. And by sheer good timing, we're 15 past the hour. So can we take one more quick break? Just like, about 5-10 minutes, just whenever people get back. And then we'll play out a couple of last kind of scenes to wrap things up and set up for next time, stars and wishes, and we'll be good to go for next time. Okay, see you guys in just a
See you in a
few minutes. Okay, so at this point, I think we've had a significant kind of power play that's been made. The Aero Club's been knocked down a peg. The Rowing Club has been restored to its former glory. I think at this point we want to maybe go over to Kit. I am curious what your status with Suto is at this point, because
Yeah. So I kind of want to see. So I think that's great. And I think I haven't really had a scene with Zashi yet. And I'm wondering if we could maybe pull Dyer in there somehow too. I thought those 4 characters. Is that too much? Let's just start with Suto and Zashi. That makes more sense. Are you cool with that, Zashi?
Yeah, no, I'm all for Dyer showing up at some point, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious. So like Zashi, you have this duel about that is just barely beneath the surface, right? About defending Suto's honor, right? Like what? I'm sorry if I'm infringing on a GM prerogative with this question, David. But like, I'm curious where the two of you like do you talk about it? What do you say to her? What does that look like?
I think that there's definitely. Do we want to say that you walk in on the apology? That
Sure.
I couldn't do it.
Sure. I like that a lot.
Oh, there's fallout with everybody.
Yeah.
Yasunaka's mad at me for not upholding the club, even though they didn't uphold the club either.
Yeah, I'm happy to walk in on that. I think I'm happy to walk in on that conversation. I think maybe I hear you starting to apologize, and I just sort of like step in and like, how much of an asshole do I want to be here? I think not to you, to the NPC. I don't mind being an asshole to NPCs. I feel bad. I put my arm kind of over her shoulder, and I'm like, and again, I say, this is why these attachments to school institutions are a waste of your energy, Suto. And I kind of like look up at Zashi. You're new here. You don't even. Why do these things matter to you? I think the subtext here is that like I really think you're talking about like this fight between it's all about the clubs, right? Like the emotional subtext is completely lost on me.
I love it. I don't know anymore. I thought it did. I thought this would help. I guess not.
If you want to fight Tomi and win for yourself, not for any of this nonsense, this bullshit, I can help you.
Is this where Dyer comes in and like puts his arm on your puts his hand on your shoulder?
It can be.
Where
I'm also
exactly-
curious how Suto is reacting to all of this.
I was gonna say, question one, where is this actually taking place? Is this like the dueling arena after it has kind of emptied out?
Yeah, I
And
have to assume that there's like almost like a locker room type thing. Like after the duel you go to like ostensibly like recover. And it's just me like maybe I'm sitting on a bench or like one of these big kind of like locker room benches, and Suto and Kit are kind of standing a little bit away from me.
Excuse me.
I see. So, you know, you kind of have this. I imagine it's like a weirdly large locker room with like strangely long rows, and a weirdly high ceiling. Like it almost has kind of a library feel. Just lockers are replacing the bookshelves. And you know, I imagine that this is kind of going on. Uh, you know, Kit, you've just essentially made this offer to Zashi. Could you just, so it's clear in my memory, rephrase what that was one more time? It had to do with Tomi.
Yeah, it was to train him to fight Tomi if he wants to do it for like his like for revenge or for his own personal grievance, but not if he's going to do it for the Arrow Club.
I think
and again, I want to just point out that like I'm kind of treating Suto like garbage here, right? This is like I just want to make.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this might be the part where Suto kind of snaps, and she's kind of had it with you. I think that basically what'll happen is, you know, you have this talk of, you know, this is why you shouldn't trust school institutions and why we just need to get detached from all of this. And I think that as you're kind of talking about this, she is kind of clenching her fist and eventually just sort of just does the whole dramatic like shoving or, you know, her fist aside, and you know the hair kind of sweeps out of her face, and she basically yells at you, this isn't about the school. This is about my friends. This is about me losing everyone I have ever cared about at this school, and you don't care. You've never cared. You only have ever cared about chasing your stupid dream of tearing this place down because you couldn't handle it. Well, guess what? Maybe you couldn't handle it, but I can, and I am done listening to you tell me what to do.
It's not an entanglement, but that sounds like inner conflict to me. Invoking.
Can't for you, it can be.
Yeah, I think it is definitely, I guess, a personal issue. And I'm gonna roll it with sorry, there we go. I think this is Earth. I think this is like the negative side of Earth. This is like disdain and like lack of care, and like and maybe a little bit obsessive, mostly obsessive, right? Pulling into that like school hatred thing. And so that's +2. And then roll. That's an 8. So things happen on an 8. I may maintain my composure by marking an element or withdrawing from the situation. If not, choose one. You overreact, you escalate the moment, you embarrass yourself socially, or you create a misunderstanding with someone present. And I think I'm going to embarrass. I think I'm going to escalate. I'm going to overreact and escalate. And say, I couldn't handle it. What this place does to the people it thinks matter You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand at all. Be with your friends. Let them ruin people. See if I lose it, like, I'm wordless and like breathing heavily in like anger and upset, and telling her she doesn't matter. And I turn to Zashi and I say, if you want to fight fights that don't matter, about things that don't matter, with people that don't matter, that's fine. But if you want to be part of the real tournament, and I think I'm both implying that there's like a set of secret duels, right, that are like behind these sort of orchestrated duels, right? But there that like there's like real duels about real power and things that really matter, but also like the real tournament, right, for hearts and minds and bodies and not stupid status bullshit, right? Not a literal tournament, but like then come talk to me.
I like it. Can I'd like to roll inner conflict here because I have a crush on Suto. Also, I want Kit to train me. So
you also have a crush.
I also have a crush on Kit.
Me. Yeah.
Oh, and Kit, I'm trying to remind people. Mark XP for that inner conflict roll if you haven't already.
Yeah,
okay, just
yeah. Thank you.
So I'm going to roll. Water, I think. Flexibility, I think. That is snake eyes. That is a 3 total.
So I want to hear first how you react to all of this that's going on around you, Zashi.
Zashi, yeah, based on that, Zashi is like scared. Like, this is terrifying. I just got defeated, and now this person that I thought was cool is like yelling at their girlfriend and yelling at me, and like I have to imagine Suto like runs off crying maybe at some point here. And so like I have no idea what's going on. I think this is maybe the like I've like kind of shrunk back from it a little bit, like very like visibly afraid of what's going on here.
I think you might stumble back directly into the broad armored chest of Dyer at that point. Looks around. He kind of looks at the two of you. Is there something wrong here?
There is, now that you're here.
So predictable.
It's just like the really awkward, like I just feel behind my head and it's just pecs, and I'm like, oh, turn around.
Here to comfort Zashi on his loss.
As far as I can see, it is you that just lost something, kid. Referring to Suto.
She's a person, not a thing, and she was never mine.
You would know much of that, having so little.
Everything you have used to be mine, and you only have it because I don't want it anymore.
I am glad that you have taken comfort in your new station.
I pull the knife out, my father's dagger, and I throw it on the ground in front of Dyer, and I spit. Then pull out a cigarette, and before I light it, I say, give that back to your master, dog. And here I'm definitely, I don't know that Zashi understands what this is all about, except for like personal drama, but I'm definitely trying to impress him with my coolness and my detachment.
Probably impress Zashi in the process.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress Zashi. That's the.
Oh, you're trying to impress.
I guess I'm trying to impress you both, right? I mean, this can be multiple things, right? With that role, and I'm definitely doing it. Metal is calculation, right? I always have to look at them. This is definitely like cold and calculated, so I think that's metal. Yeah. So that's 0, because I kind of am not good at that either. That's a 9. So I choose 2, and you do something, I believe. Offer a complication or hard choice.
You can spend a bond here if you want to bump that up to a 10.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's spend my bond with Dyer here. I think that makes sense. I know it doesn't really matter, but or no, I'm spending my bond with Suto here. Actually, I think that's like, right. This has sort of been that connection has kind of been lost. So yeah, spending my bond with to bump it up to a 10. That's good. Thank you for reminding me I can do that. And I think I want to take another bond with Dyer. And I'm hoping to gain some favor from you, Zashi. I think I was cool. I think I'm like a cool, badass, like outsider dropout. So yeah.
So yeah. So what favor do you want?
Oh, is it like a specific favor? I thought it just meant like be in your favor.
Oh, gain. No, it says gain a favor.
Gain a favor. Oh, interesting. Oh, so that's different. I don't have a specific thing I want from you. I just want you to like me, I think.
The favor. Oh. Can I offer? The
Sure.
favor. The favor is I have to beat Dyer and embarrass him.
I want to beat Dyer myself. I don't want someone else. Well, I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. But once you beat him, it's less cool for me to beat him. But sure, that's I think that's maybe that's even better. Let's say that. Let's say that. I like that.
Okay.
And yeah, and I'm not training you to fight Tomi anymore. I'm training you to fight Dyer. Cool. I'm not sure how we communicate that here, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
So I'm going to rewrite one of my second entanglement.
Sure. Zashi, how do you respond? If you say anything.
I think this is the like. I think maybe this is the like Zashi tries to like sidle out of the scene, and Kit just like grabs me by the scruff of the neck and pulls me back in. And I think we're, this is the like, no, you're part of this now. You're stuck here. But I don't want to be part of this. I don't know what's going on. I just want to go to school. Why can't you all be normal?
I think that Dyer will pick up on the position you're being placed in, Zashi, kind of having to make this forced choice of allegiances. And I think that he won't force anything, but he'll look down at you and simply say, choose wisely, Zashi. And do the cape flourish and walk away.
Can I? That's awesome. I love how that scene went. Can I, Zashi, just make a quick? It's supposed to say specifically you will fight Dyer. Let's leave it a little bit more open and just say you will humiliate Dyer. And that
like
way,
that.
maybe it's a fight, but maybe it ends up being something else, and that way we don't have to like lock in.
I'm good with that. Yeah, no, perfect.
Awesome.
So with that scene coming to a close, I think we might want to I think, Jin, it's been the longest since you really had a scene for yourself at this point, so I'll give you the floor if you would like to take a scene here.
Ooh, I think I want to catch up with Tomi, like, because I said I would show up right after the date. I mean, you know, right after the fighting. It's not a date. Oh my gosh, what is that slip? Fighting date. So, but time has passed, right? So Tomi, this is like after the duel. Where would I find you?
I kind of like the idea of a contrasting locker room scene. We're in the other locker room now. This one is full of the rowing team. We've got, of course, Tomi shirtless, you know, with a towel around. Everyone's around, like cheering him on. And then I think you know, maybe I see Jin in the back, and I excuse myself, leave them to celebrate for a moment, and I'll step to the side.
And I think we see in the background for a moment, there's like that same phone that Jin had answered a call with, but then when Jin steps forward, that area is like empty and the phone's not there anymore. And as I move forward, I say, well, Tomi, you asked me to bring the audience, but you really created the show.
Wasn't it magnificent, Jin? Oh my goodness. I tell you, I've never felt more alive. There's this rush when you're dueling. Do you know what it's like, Jin?
And I smile and I say, well, I've won a few duels here and there. I'm pretty high in the rankings myself, but you know, Tomi, when I looked at you today, there was something about you. I think this is the start of something, a new Tomi that we haven't seen yet. And I'm trying to like comfort and support you. So I think I'm going to use probably, yeah, I'm gonna say like fire, because like there was this, you ignited a fire engine, right? Like watching that fight, how aggressive and sure you were in that moment. So let's see how it goes. I have to refresh for a moment.
That's interesting. I wonder why you have to refresh. Yeah, I see a 7.
Yeah, I just saw it too. Cool. Yeah, so on a 7 of comfort and support, you get to choose to give a bond with me or clear a marked element.
I will give a bond.
Ooh, awesome. Yeah, let me write that down. And so I think to show what that's like, I think it's very clear on Jin's face that there's a lot of like admiration, but there's also pride. And Jin says, you know, if it's power you want, I can help you with that, my dear.
Jin, I get the feeling you and I could be something really great together. And I'm gonna trigger confession at this point, as like Tomi goes to try and confess. We'll see how it plays out. I guess we know it's not gonna work, but so let's see. You just roll straight. There's not a modifier on this one, looks like.
Oh, there's no what? Sorry.
So do you use an element on this one?
Oh yeah. Mhm,
Oh, you
mhm.
still do. Okay. So this sounds like this. I think this sounds like calculation and control. So I'm gonna roll with metal, which is +1. And that is an 8.
Oh, interesting.
So I believe
Interrupted
that's
by
the
something.
yeah, interrupted by something. So I'll start it and then I'll let David come in with the interruption when you want. So like Tomi starts saying like, Jin, you and I, we just imagine we could do fantastic things if we were together. And I'll reach down to grab your hand, just say, I have this sense that this feels right. This could work really well. This partnership.
I think.
Then,
Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I wasn't sure how much to quote. I think Tomi like just stutters for a second. Says, Jin, I know you're with Shinji, but I think that maybe would you ever perhaps want to?
And
Oh.
is this where the interruption?
I think
comes
so,
in then?
probably.
Yeah.
I think. I imagine that you're in this kind of. I'm trying to think of how to put it. Oh no. This is obviously a member of the rowing team. Kind of peeks around the column. Jen, someone's on the phone for you.
The phone. There's a
the
phone down here.
Out of place rotary phone on the wall of the locker room.
Yeah, that wasn't there a few seconds ago. And
Jen,
I
I'm
think
so sorry. Let me just answer this.
and I say, oh, of course. But like there's this knowing look on Jin's face, like something that they know interrupted this.
So I'll walk over and pick up the phone. Yes, this is Tomi.
So, are you picking up the phone instead of Jen? Because the call is for Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the call was Tomi. I missed.
No, but I like that actually. I think in the flustered moment, right? You're the one who answers the phone.
Who could be calling right now?
So, you say, all right, we'll play it this way. So you answer the phone and say, "This is Tomi." Is that correct?
Yeah. Must be someone calling to congratulate. I say as I've covered the receiver to Jin.
Very well. You hear a strange androgynous voice on the other line. Tomi, is that your name?
Yes, this is Tomi. Who is calling?
I wanted to offer you congratulations on the duel. I was watching, after all. And as a matter of fact, I would like to offer you a personal token of my gratitude and my congratulations. The chapel, midnight. You will come, won't you?
I never turned down an opportunity.
You can hear a smile on the other end of the line, somehow. I will be waiting. Click.
I just hang it up. Just someone that really enjoyed the show. Come on, Jin. Let's join the party.
And I think Jin looks incredibly worried and reaches over and touches your cheek. Tomi, you'll be careful, won't you?
It's nothing to worry about.
And Jin says, well, I'll be here to protect you anyway.
I think Tommy flushes a little bit.
Perfect.
So we kind of have one of two options here. I think we can either end on that cliffhanger, or we can have a scene of Tommy at the chapel. Alternatively, we would lead with that for next time. I think both are appropriate and absolutely dramatic and wonderful. Does anyone, I mean, I guess, Tommy, you're kind of one of the big arbiters here. Anyone have a preference one way or the other?
I'm totally happy to have that as our cliffhanger. It's a nice symmetry with our past episode. I love the idea. Like at the end of each episode, there's going to be a call to somebody.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I think that's the way to do it. All right. So
No, David, this is when you
Yeah.
pretend, yes, this was my plan all along as the GM. Completely, 100%.
Yes. From the beginning, there was always going to be the phone call. Excellent. Well, then we will go ahead and wrap up there with that. So I will go ahead and end the recording. We'll do some stars and wishes.